let's just talk about the story that is enveloping Irish football, certainly the Irish international scene in the last couple of days. And that is Ireland being drawn to face Israel in their Nations League group. Now, this is on foot of the FAI's General Assembly voting last November to move a motion to UEFA that Israel should be suspended from international competition. The FAI board at the time said that no matter what happened, they would play Israel if they were drawn together. And so this week they have come out and reiterated that point of view, that despite that vote by the General Assembly next November, it's their intention to play the games against Israel, and the fixtures have been released and we will see what happens. That hasn't stopped a storm of conjecture, of discussion, of criticism about this issue, and many calling on the association to boycott the games against Israel. Others talking about the security implications of Ireland hosting Israel in a game here. Brian, what do you make of this situation?
Well, I think it's undoubtedly an awkward one for the FAI, but they've never been exactly a beacon of ethics and principles. Even right up to Christmas this year, they were busy organising the redundancy of between 40 and 50 workers, football workers, as I'd call them, grassroots workers. But in the situation they're in now with this draw, I think they could show a real bit of, I could use a colloquialism, show a real bit of balls and refuse to play Israel. They should stand up, in my view, for the Palestinian state, the Palestinian people, and the Palestinian football organisation, who have not obviously been able to play games at home for years, but have also lost huge numbers of footballers during the war that was waged on them in Gaza. They've lost their football grounds. Israel has at least 6 teams playing on ground and in stadiums that were previously the land of the Palestinian state. And there's been no real punishment for that.
Which is a breach of UEFA statutes, which is one of the grounds for the original motion, wasn't it?
That's what I'm talking about football. I'm not just talking a purely political thing. I'm talking about football grounds. UEFA would be within their rights to penalise the Israeli Football Association and the Israeli clubs. I mean, they eventually, under pressure from a lot of people, they stood up against Russia because of the war in Ukraine, belatedly, it must be said. And this is a situation where I think if the FAI took the lead and Ireland took the lead, that other countries, I'm looking at that draw with Austria and Kosovo. Kosovo came out of the Balkans War back in 1999. The government refused to give visas, I understand it, for the Yugoslavian team to come and play here in international football at that time while the war was going on. So they were prepared to make a bit of a stand. And now the Irish government say, well, we don't want to mix politics. I heard the minister on the radio today saying that you can't mix sport and politics.
And Micheál Martin has backed the FAI's position that the game should go ahead.
I think that's
as well.
Complete baloney and a real sit-in-the-fence job. And I think this whole situation in Palestine, Israel, has been far too serious for people to just say, oh, well, you must separate sport and politics. And it's nothing to do with, for instance, Israeli Football Association. We saw previously with the Basketball Association, they wanted to try to make a stand, but the organisation of European basketball put the pressure on them to play the match. The matches were played in neutral territory and all that, saves on the security issues. But I think UEFA could back the FAI if they were strong enough on it. They weren't really. They made a bit of an effort. But
what about the accusation that the FAI simply? You talked about the redundancies. They're just simply not in a financial position to take a stand because they would lose the income from the Nations League. They would lose favour with UEFA, who are a major creditor of theirs, who helped bail the FAI out, and they simply are not, as custodians of Irish football, in a position to take a stand that would cost them on their bottom line at a time when money is tight in Irish football.
I respect that, but that's not a reason to fold up your principles and forget about what's happened in Gaza, what's happened to the Palestinian people the money is inconsequential. What the FAI might do, and the reason that the FAI are in trouble is because the people prior to the current group of people had no principles either, and that they flittered away the money in the way the association was organised and run at that time. But if they take a stand now, I think in the longer term, some of the financial problems they have might dissipate, because they would be looked on much more favourably by an awful lot of people if they showed a real bit of mettle and not be wishy-washy about things and hiding behind international football rules or UEFA. I mean, you look at FIFA and look at the carry-on of Infantino with Trump and giving them a peace prize.
It becomes seen as an antidote to that sort of...
Exactly. And I think a lot of countries in the world are looking for some nation to stand up and do that and say that.
Keith, I want to get you in on it and put yourself in the shoes of the players. I wonder, will players be engaged about this? Will they be wary about it? Will they if these games go ahead, will they feel, what am I in the middle of here? Or what will the thoughts be among the Irish players for all this?
To be honest, Tommy, I think if you're a player that plays for the Republic of Ireland, you're wanting this to be taken out of your hands. You're wanting some sort of instruction to come from above to say, look, lads, we're not going to play that game, or as it stands now, we are going to play that game. And I totally respect the financial side of stuff in terms of the FAI, but what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and it feels wrong to play against Israel for me. And I don't want the players to be asked as individuals, because it's a very hard thing to do if you're in a room full of players saying, look, has anybody got a problem playing against Israel? I wouldn't have done it as a player. I'd have just went with the crowd, and if 60% of the players say, well, I'm willing to play, I wouldn't go against it. So it's a difficult one to go for, but what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
It almost feels like leadership is needed, so individuals aren't kind of put in that sort of position.